Disclaimer. The video serves informational and entertainment purpose only. The content is considered speculative and should not be treated as confirmed fact. We encourage you to conduct your research and form your conclusion. She walked out smiling, but within seconds, that smile, it shattered. The moment Rachel Zegler stepped on that stage, the room didn't erupt in applause. It boiled in rage. "Not my Snow White," someone screamed from the crowd, and then booing, loud, unforgiving, relentless. She stood there, frozen, eyes wide, hands trembling, and then she cracked. A Golden Globe winner, Spielberg's chosen star, the face of Disney's next billion-dollar franchise, now breaking down in front of flashing cameras and stunned fans. This wasn't just backlash, this was a cultural detonation, and it left the world asking, did Rachel Zegler just experience the most humiliating moment in modern Hollywood history? Or was this all part of the plan?
Rachel Zegler is back in the news because her PR team is working overtime right now to fix her image because so many of these resurfaced video clips of her just make her look really, really bad. What matters here is perception. Who she actually is actually has little consequence on any of this. How she's perceived by the world. That's what matters. Right. And how she's perceived by the world is not good because she hasn't been able to escape these interview clips, which show a clear disdain for the company she works for, a clear disdain for the story in which she's been hired to help portray and tell. Who she is really has little bearing on any of this. At the end of the day, Disney doesn't care who she really is. I'm sure the people that love her, her friends and family, she's plenty nice to them. That's not what matters here.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still lined up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Girl power, girl boss. Everyone needs to be a strong, independent woman that don't need no man. And everybody is tired of that. Everybody is sick of that. And everybody is ganging up on Rachel. She dealt with some really, really severe backlash, which I can kind of understand. But me personally, I'm not under the impression that she wasn't maybe coached to make this happen, to create some type of a draw for the movie, because this is the narrative that Disney particularly is trying to push.
Well, Rachel was desperate to play with Baron. You know, it was her idea, and we saw an audition tape, and she was absolutely sensational. You know, she worked with our musical supervisor in New York on the material. Her versions of the songs were terrific. Jamie's excited, Andrew and Tim are excited. So, I mean, it should make for a fabulous summer at the Palladium. Ticket sales are already, through the roof. So we're really thrilled about that.
Disney, get your girl. Rachel Zegler is making it very difficult to be excited for the new Snow White movie that's supposed to come out next year. If you are living under a rock, there's been a lot of controversy about the fact that Rachel Zegler is playing Snow White in the film. That's not where my problem comes. I'm all for it. Go for it. But what she's doing in press, and these are interviews that I believe were done before the actors' strike, but of course are now being brought up on the internet. She's basically talking about how much she didn't like the actual original movie, even saying that it scared her.
There was a time not long ago when Rachel Zegler was untouchable. She was the future, the breakout star of Spielberg's West Side Story, the voice of a new generation, crowned with a Golden Globe before her 21st birthday. Disney didn't just cast her as Snow White, they handed her the keys to the kingdom. A Latina princess, Gen Z icon, the face of Hollywood's inclusivity push. Rachel wasn't just booked and busy, she was being positioned to redefine what a Disney heroine even looked like. And then came the press. What should have been a nostalgic, magical PR tour became something else entirely. Interview after interview, Zegler didn't celebrate Snow White's legacy. She mocked it. She called the 1937 classic weird, laughed at the prince, said he was creepy, a stalker, and might even be cut from her version entirely. To longtime fans, it felt like betrayal. But to Disney, it was still manageable, until the internet started digging. Clips resurfaced, comments piled up, memes exploded, and suddenly, this wasn't just about one girl in one role. It was about the entire machine. Woke Hollywood, corporate arrogance, the rewriting of childhood nostalgia, it all got pinned to Rachel Zegler. And as the pressure mounted behind the scenes, one question began to echo louder and louder. Was Rachel Zegler ever ready for the crown Disney placed on her head? Or was this the beginning of her very public undoing? It happened fast, and it hit like a wave. What started as criticism became a crusade. Rachel Zegler wasn't just under fire, she was at the epicenter of a digital meltdown. Fans didn't just disagree with her comments, they revolted. Not my Snow White. Fire her. Disney is done. Tweets turned into trending hashtags. Videos clipped her interviews into viral montages. YouTubers, influencers, even former fans, they all lined up one by one to take a swing. It was Rachel Zegler versus the internet. And the internet was winning, but it didn't stop at memes. No, this went deeper. Whispers turned to leaks. Rumors from the set of Snow White and Evita. Reports of diva behavior, missed rehearsals, clashes with directors, backstage walkouts. Difficult to work with, they said. Entitled. Impossible to direct. Still, some people said it was exaggerated, until Rachel walked onto that fan expo stage in Los Angeles. This was supposed to be her redemption moment, her chance to reconnect, show humility, maybe even flip the narrative. Instead, the moment she stepped out, the booing began. Not just whispers, not polite disapproval. Boos, loud, raw, public. She froze. She cracked. Witnesses described her smile dropping in real time, eyes wide, hands shaking, voice breaking. She barely got a sentence out before retreating behind the curtain, tears in her eyes, mascara running. And just like that, it was over. 1,000 flashing cameras, 1 million views, and one actress standing alone, publicly collapsing under the weight of it all. But here's the thing, this wasn't just a PR disaster. It felt personal. Like the crowd wasn't just booing Rachel, they were booing everything she represented. So the question is, was this just backlash? Or had Rachel Zegler become the symbol of something far bigger?
And I feel like, especially with people like this that have like these types of viewpoints, I don't see her coming back from this at all. I think she is totally cooked with this.
When she landed a big role like this and realized that this is not the character that she really wants to portray.
And then talking about how the love story in this isn't really going to be at the forefront, that the prince, yes, has been cast, he's in it, but might be cut, Hollywood, and that the prince in the original film was problematic and was creepy because he was stalking Snow White. I just can't believe that Disney's PR hasn't silenced her on this yet. The live-action movies already have a problem where people are kind of over them and they don't like the changes that are being made from the originals to these.
She should have given that role to someone who really understands that character and loves that character.
The internet didn't just react to Rachel Zegler's breakdown on stage, it erupted. Within minutes of that now infamous clip going live, Rachel standing there, mascara smudged, voice cracking, booed by her own fans, TikTok turned into a battlefield. X, formerly Twitter, was a war zone, and YouTube, a non-stop reaction conveyor belt. Every channel, every creator, every comment section had one thing to say: she deserved it. She mocked us for months. She finally heard how people really feel. One viral tweet with over 100,000 likes didn't hold back. She disrespected the role, disrespected the fans, and now she's surprised they booed Miss Girl. But that was just the start. Influencers began stitching her interviews, where she dismissed the original Snow White as weird, called the prince a stalker, and laughed about changing the story to clips of fans screaming, "Not my Snow White," at the expo. The narrative formed fast, and it was brutal. Even former fans joined the backlash. She wanted to be a princess, but acted like the kingdom owed her an apology. And while some creators tried to defend her, saying this was all just cyberbullying, others fired back hard. Bullying? Number this is accountability, and it's been a long time coming. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories flooded comment threads. People started digging, and guess what they found? Fan videos mysteriously disappearing, copyright strikes on TikTok showing her emotional collapse, comments vanishing from official Disney pages. And then, the leak. One alleged PR insider dropped a bombshell. Rachel's team had hired a crisis management firm weeks before the event. Their supposed mission? To manufacture emotional vulnerability and flip the hate into sympathy. A planned breakdown? A staged booing? Fans were outraged. This wasn't a mistake, one creator said. This was a plot twist with a production budget. And just like that, sympathy turned into suspicion. So what happens when even your tears become part of the controversy. She wanted to rewrite the fairy tale, but instead, she became the villain in one. Rachel Zegler walked into Hollywood as the next big thing. A Spielberg discovery, a Disney princess, a symbol of a new era. But the irony? The same story she mocked was the one holding her career together. Because the second she said, "This version of Snow White won't need a prince," the clock started ticking. She didn't just reject the legacy, she publicly ridiculed it. Didn't love the original film? Fine. But laughing about it, saying it scared her, saying the prince might get cut, that was a step too far. And when she finally stood before a crowd that should have loved her, the boos weren't just about her. They were about what she represented. This wasn't just a fall from grace. It was a public unmasking. Because after all the viral quotes, the snarky interviews, the studio silence, the one moment where she needed fans to believe in her again, to root for her, to give her a second chance, they turned their backs. And here's the poetic part. The very princess she didn't want to play, the wide-eyed dreamer, humble and kind, grateful for love and connection, that's exactly who the audience wanted. And Rachel? She gave them the opposite. So when the boos echoed through that expo hall, they weren't just for Rachel. They were for the version of her that never understood the assignment. She didn't lose the role. She lost the kingdom.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have when I say that this has been the biggest adjustment of my life, like understanding the way my life operates now, being who I am, and the things that I've been so fortunate to make. It comes with so much ground that I never thought I would be able to cover, and that people think I'm doing poorly, and other people think I'm doing gracefully, and I don't think I'm doing it at all.
Gen Z mentality and approach to work. She believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else. In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. You took on the role, and that job comes with certain basic responsibilities. And one of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly.
So now we ask the question that's got Hollywood whispering. Is this the end of Rachel Zegler's fairy tale? Because make no mistake, this wasn't just a PR hiccup or a few bad interviews. This was a collision between ego and expectation, between legacy and disruption, between the character Disney created and the actress who refused to play her. She's not canceled, but she's been challenged by the very fans who once cheered her on, by a public that's tired of being talked down to, and by an industry that only protects you when you make the money. So now, Rachel stands at the edge, no longer Hollywood's golden girl, but its biggest question mark. Does she disappear into the background like so many before her? Or does she rise from the ashes, own it, evolve, and prove she can be more than a headline? Because here's the brutal truth. The cameras may stop flashing, the memes may fade, but the internet never forgets. This moment, this boo heard round the world, is now part of her story forever. So, what do you think? Was this just a PR misstep? Or has Rachel Zegler truly lost the crown? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're watching this wondering who's next to fall, trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Because in Hollywood, the fairy tales don't end with happily ever after. They end when the audience stops clapping. Subscribe, stay loud, and stay sharp. We're just getting started. And that's the tea for today, my little gossip gremlins. If you enjoyed this drama buffet, don't forget to hit that like button like it's your ex's new partner's Instagram. Aggressively and with zero shame. Beauty. Subscribe to Fame Files so you never miss a single scandal, meltdown, or red carpet disaster. I'm literally serving up hot gossip every single day, even if my Wi-Fi begs me to stop. And listen, be a doll and tap that bell too, okay? Because your girl Macy's got bills to pay, celeb egos to roast, and a grocery cart full of overpriced almond milk that won't buy itself. Shopping cart money. So until next time, stay nosy, stay fabulous, and remember, I spill it so you don't have to sip in silence. Bye.